today. Today we have the story of Ruth. And so there is a book of the Bible called Ruth, and it's about this woman. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the important parts about her life and how she ended up being important. And I'm starting with Ruth chapter 1, if you want to find it. In the time when Israel was ruled by the judges, a man named Elimelech lived in Bethlehem with his wife Naomi and their 2 sons. One year the harvest was so poor, Elimelech could not get enough food for his family. So they decided to leave Israel until the famine was over and go to live in the nearby country of Moab. Okay, so they started out in Bethlehem, the same town where Jesus was born, only Jesus was born much later than this story, but that's where they were. And they traveled to Moab, which wasn't too far away, but they still had food there, so that's why they went there. While they were there, Elimelech died. By this time, the 2 boys were old enough to look after Naomi, and when they married Moabite girls, they brought them home too. Not too many years later, both sons died. Poor Naomi was left in a foreign land without husband or family. But her daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, were good, kind girls, and they comforted Naomi as much as they could. Soon Naomi felt homesick for Bethlehem. She heard food was plentiful there again, so she packed up all her belongings into bundles, and the 3 of them set off for Bethlehem. When they came near to the border of Israel, Naomi stopped. "You've been very good to me," she said to Orpah and Ruth, "but now it's time for you to go back to your own mothers." Both girls hugged and kissed Naomi. "We'll come with you," they exclaimed. "No," Naomi insisted. "I can do nothing to help you or make you happy, so go back home now." Orpah kissed Naomi again, then reluctantly started back the way they had come. She went slowly, turned often to wave, for she loved her mother-in-law. "Now, Ruth," Naomi said, "you must do the same as Orpah." "Please let me come with you," Ruth begged. "I want to stay with you wherever you go. I'll make your people my own and take your God for my God. Nothing will make me part from you except death." When Naomi saw Ruth had her heart set on going with her, she said no more. She was happy and comforted to have Ruth's love and companionship just when she needed it most. So Ruth and Naomi went all the way back to Bethlehem, and the townswomen of Bethlehem welcomed Naomi back, but they were sorry to see her so poor and unhappy. In those days, women could not earn a living. Naomi had no husband or sons to provide for her, but God had given the Israelites special laws so that they would help all those in need. Farmers must allow poor and hungry people to come into their harvest fields and pick up any stray stalks of grain the reapers had dropped or overlooked. When Naomi and Ruth arrived in Bethlehem, they were harvesting the barley. "Let me go and glean barley," Ruth suggested. "If I work hard, I can get enough for both of us to eat." Ruth set out early and chose one field where the reapers were working busily. She kept close to them all morning, picking up every stray grain of stalk that she could see. At midday, Boaz, who owned the land, came to see how the harvest was going. So this is something what it might have looked like. Here's Ruth, and she's doing what's called gleaning. And what gleaning means is the men would go through the field. They would cut down the barley or whatever grain they were harvesting. And on purpose, they would even leave a little bit for the poor and hungry. So, after they've gone through the field, and you can see women picking up some more stalks of grain. And that's what Ruth did, because back then, women were expected to do all the work at home, which was plenty. So, if you didn't have a husband or no one else to help you, you would end up gleaning through the fields as one way to get food. And this was so important that the Hebrew people even had a law for it, that when you harvested your field, you had to leave some grain for the poor people. So Boaz, who owned the land, came to see how the harvest was going. "Who is that girl gleaning over there?" he asked, pointing to Ruth. "She is the foreign girl from Moab," one of his men told him, "Naomi's daughter-in-law." Boaz had heard about Ruth, for news travels fast in a small town. He went across to her. "Keep near my reapers for the rest of the harvest," he said. "I'll see that they leave you in peace. When you are thirsty, drink from the water my men have drawn. Now come and have dinner." "Why are you so kind to me?" Ruth asked in surprise. "I've heard about your kindness to Naomi," Boaz explained. "May the God whom you have learned to trust keep you safe in his care." Without a word to Ruth, Boaz told his reapers to drop some barley stalks on purpose, so Ruth would have extra to pick up and take home. Naomi was delighted at Ruth's success. "How did you get so much?" she asked. "I went to a field belonging to a man called Boaz," Ruth told her. "He was very kind to me." "How good God is," Naomi exclaimed. "He guided you there. Boaz is a relative of our family. You'll be safe with him." So that's how Boaz noticed Ruth, and he ended up marrying her. And so Ruth now had a husband, and Naomi had a son-in-law, and they are all related to Jesus. So the story of Ruth and Boaz is about some of Jesus' family. So we learned about two women who were loyal friends, and they were gathering in the fields, and there were a lot of different grains that people eat around the world, so here's some different grains. Okay, Ruth was harvesting barley, and they grow barley here in the United States too. You could have been growing wheat or oats in Asia or southern, like Louisiana, southern U.S. They can grow rice. They grow a lot of corn around here. Corn is a grain. Rye. And with these, you can make different kinds of bread or pasta, or with rice, you can just cook the rice and eat it. If you grow oats, you can make oatmeal for breakfast and other kinds of cereals. So here's some bread, and we'll look at what it says. It said it's made from wheat flour and barley. So that has a couple different kind of grains in it. And in our Wonder Box, we have rice, because in warmer parts of the world they can grow rice, and they eat that for their grain. Our Bible verse is from Psalm 27, verse 14. "Hope in the Lord, be strong. Let your heart take courage. Hope in the Lord." And that's from Psalm 27, verse 14. And our faith word is courage. And courage means choosing to act in faith even when you're afraid. So it took a lot of courage for Ruth to leave her home country of Moab and move with Naomi, even though she loved Naomi, to Bethlehem. So I wonder, would you ever move to a different town because a friend had moved there? So when has someone been a loyal friend to you? I hope you have some good friends. And what do you do to show you're a loyal friend? So I hope you do things like do things with them, like maybe go on a bike ride or walk, or maybe watch a movie together. So today we learned about two women who were loyal friends. I'm sure they prayed together to God, so we're going to pray together. Dear God, thank you for giving us friends. Help us be loyal friends to each other. Amen. And Ruth and Boaz in our story today, they had a son, Obed. And Ruth is important because she's the great-grandmother of David, the famous king of Israel. And Jesus was part of King David's family. So that's why it's important to remember Ruth. And it takes courage to be kind, but kindness spreads and creates even more kindness.